Shabbat Shalom. Lately, I've been doing a lot of interfaith work. I've been asked to give a 5-part series at one of the local Lutheran churches. I'm going to be speaking this week at one of the Catholic churches in the south part of the city, where they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Nostra Aetate. This was the Vatican's declaration in the early 60s of normalization with the Jewish religion. A real sea change in the whole history of the church and certainly in its relationship to the Jewish people. And this is a very special time that we're living in as far as interfaith relations go. It's probably the first time in the entire history of Jewish-Christian relations that we've had as open and equal and honest a relationship as we're having right now. So this is, I think, an historical time that we're living in. In general, I think that the boundaries between peoples, between cultures, between nations, between religions, all these things are coming down. And there is some chaos and uncertainty around that. But I think in general it's a very, very positive development because we're starting to realize, again, for the first time, maybe ever, that we are really a family of humanity, that we have one God, one Father or Mother in heaven, and that the things that separate us are far less significant than the things that we have in common. This, I believe, is a consciousness, a new consciousness, that is paving the way for the possibility of world peace. So what is blocking the process of that world peace? At the same time that walls are coming down, there is a lot of fear in certain quarters that has resulted in a kind of reactionary movement, so that some walls are being erected in some parts of the world that are higher and thicker than ever before. This progress towards a common humanity is, in fact, a kind of threat to the preservation of individuality among peoples, cultures, religions, and so on. We've experienced this in Judaism. There's a very high rate of interfaith marriage in Judaism right now. Again, it presents possibilities for growth and development. It also can be somewhat threatening because we don't know then what our grandchildren are going to turn out to be, what kind of Jews or non-Jews they're going to be. So the situation is in flux right now. And yet, in general, the movement towards interfaith marriage indicates that society is embracing Jews in a way that really has never been before, and that, I think, ultimately is a net positive. So, a very interesting time that we're living in. I think that it's a matter of establishing a balance. We want to maintain our individuality, certainly. We want to have Jewish grandchildren, certainly. How are we going to maintain the continuity of Jewish tradition when the walls separating between peoples, cultures, religions are coming down? The answer is, I don't know. I don't know exactly how we're going to do that, but there is work to be done in terms of the relationships that grandchildren have with their grandparents. Already, I think that's a kind of relationship that is favored by sociology. You've heard the old expression that the grandparents and the grandchildren plot against the parents, right? And there's, I think, a natural closeness that develops there. So it becomes the duty of the grandparents to influence their children as positively as possible in the direction of maintaining the continuity of Jewish identity and Jewish practice. And this is something that I think most grandparents are facing these days, and not only Jewish ones, right? But there is a mixing of cultures that is going on all over the world. And so this is a positive time, a powerful time of interaction between peoples and cultures and religions that never really has had the opportunity to happen. We're advancing in terms of our technology, of communications and transportation. We're mixing with people that 100 years ago we never would have seen or maybe even heard of. So this is a grand, new, exciting time for the world. There is, in this process, I think, the possibility of a new consciousness, a new level of harmony and understanding that, God willing, will lead to a state of world peace, hopefully in this lifetime. And so I want to wish you all happiness, harmony, greater understanding between the generations and between peoples in your lives. And let us all say Amen and Shabbat Shalom.